All right, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome my special guest from BYU, offensive lineman Austin Leausa. How's it going, bro?
It's going pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime, man. For those people who are not familiar with you, man, tell them who you are.
Yeah. So my name is Austin Leausa. I grew up here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Just finished playing ball at BYU, and hopefully in the next couple months or so, I'll be landing on an NFL roster. So we're super excited about that.
For sure, man. So, what got you into football?
Yeah. So I've played football since I was about 8 years old. It's something I've done since little league. Carried it all the way up into high school, or little league, middle school, and then all the way up to high school, and then obviously to my college career. But I've loved football ever since I put my helmet on. Loved watching it as a kid growing up, and just the environment of football, and um, really just being around the boys all the time. So it was a really good experience for me.
So, it's been with you since it was a kid. Okay,
Yes.
so you live and die with it.
Yep.
um, so what were the offers like coming out of high school?
So if I'm being completely honest, I only had two offers coming out of high school. I wasn't a really high recruit. I actually started my football career at Southern Utah. It's an FCS school out here in Utah. It's in Southern Utah. Spent 3 years there. But other than Southern Utah and Utah Tech, those were the only two offers I had coming out of high school.
So, Southern Utah is where you started off.
Yes, sir.
What do you take from that experience before you went to BYU?
It was tough, man. Southern Utah was definitely an experience for me and my family. I think that it shaped me to become the football player that I am today, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. But Southern Utah was perfect for me in those moments that I needed it personally. So
Okay, so what were the scheme difference when you were playing at Southern Utah compared to BYU?
yeah, I think at BYU we were more of a pro style offense. Down at Southern Utah we were more of a spread offense. Um, we really like to stretch the ball at Southern Utah rather than at BYU. We were doing everything. We were stretching the field. We were going north and south. We were ton of play action. A lot of trick plays, just a lot of misdirection. So it was awesome. It was a much bigger step than I was expecting when I first got to BYU.
Had to be pretty cool to go to two different programs in the same state, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was a dream come true going to BYU. Growing up a BYU fan as a kid, it's the school I always wanted to go to. So as soon as they came calling, it made sense for me and my family. And so didn't look back since then.
Yeah, it has to be a dream come true to play for a college team you grew up watching, and then now you have a chance to live the dream of the NFL.
Yes, sir.
So, why should NFL teams draft you, and what makes you stand out from the rest of the offensive linemen?
Yeah, I think just my versatility. Going out through these interviews with the American Bowl and teams so far. My versatility. I think I've played every position but center. On the offensive line. I have film at all four positions. So being able to do that and do that at a high level, I think that just shows that, I can make a roster. And just me being able to be a sponge, I think that I'm able to take on teaching quickly. I'm more of a hands on learner. So, as soon as I, have that embedded in my brain and in my mind, I think it just works best for me. And then you're just going to get a teammate and a player that's just about the program or whatever team that I'm going to be on. I'm going to do my best to do whatever I can for the team to help them. And, I just think that helps me be the best version of myself, not only as a person, but more importantly, as a football player.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you got versatility, which is important in today's NFL. Why do you feel like being versatile at that position is important?
Yeah, well, you think about it, there's a lot of guys in the NFL that can play all five positions, right? Like I don't think there's any guy on a starting offensive line now that can't play all five. And so I think, being versatile and having that in your back pocket just helps you and boosts your draft stock even more.
Yeah, that is important because let's say one of your starting tackles is hurt. Let's say they want to put you out there because you're capable of your versatility, and they'll put somebody else they like at that spot.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
So, how many NFL teams have you met with?
So total, I've met with 15 teams so far. I think I met with 12 at the American Bowl, and then three since you know since being home and throughout this whole process, throughout pro day and everything. So um, super excited, grateful for those teams that took the time to get to know me and my football career, but um, just excited to see where we might end up.
Yeah, the journey speaks for itself. So
Yeah.
from what I've heard, I think I've seen it from you meeting with the 49ers. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I met with the 49ers at the American Bowl. It was a phone call. Super great. Had the chance to speak with them for about 10 to 15 minutes, kind of just mostly getting to know me. Did some X's and O's as well. And really just get the backstory of my football career and kind of what I'm expecting and stuff like that.
They like those kind of guys who are versatile, like you just said, you can play four of those spots except the center. But I'm pretty sure you're willing to learn the center position if it had to come down to it.
Yeah, throughout my pro day training, I've been snapping the ball. I snapped at my pro day, so I was able to showcase that. I showcased also, you know, um, all the other four positions. So left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle. I showcased all that on my pro day. So it was great. Super happy that I did that.
Yeah, for sure. So, who do you model your game after? Like, just from watching all these offensive linemen, who do you like take techniques or emulate from?
Yeah, I think the biggest name that I take, things from is Chris Lidstrom from the Atlanta Falcons. He's super quick, super agile. He's versatile as well. And just being able to be as twitchy as he is, that's something that I try to emulate, and that's something that I try to do each and every day. I consider myself a twitchy football player, and so when I see a guy like him doing it at the high level, it makes me want to, do the same thing. And then another person that I like to watch is Wyatt Teller, Cleveland Browns. Um, Good offensive lineman, big guy, moves well, and is just a force in the offensive line room, man.
Yeah, and those are good ones to pick up from because they play the position well, and think both of them were all pros. So
Yes, sir.
good choices there. So, how do you prepare for your opponents, and what's your pregame routine?
Yeah, so for me personally, I don't like to get all, crazy and screaming and yelling and all that stuff. So me personally, it starts with the night before. Just do some meditation with the team that we have with the team. We do that as a team. Um, Kind of just get in the zone. Think about football, watch practice, watch film, go over any last minute notes or film that we went over for that week. And then come game day, kind of just calm, just relaxed. I can't get too high, can't get too low. Try to just stay in the middle, and then come game time, just let it loose, man. Just have fun, play dominant, establish that dominance, and just do everything I need to do and everything I can to help the team win.
Absolutely, man. So, I know that some college athletes do a lot of these transfers, but why did you want to do the transfer? Was it because of your dream of playing for that college team, or was it just other factors?
Yeah, no, it's actually a crazy story. So at my previous school, being an FCS Division 1 school, we don't have the necessities for their players to do a lot of things on their own, like BYU has with NIL and revenue share. And so, my wife was working 3 jobs while we were down there. I was working 2 jobs throughout the season, and we had our 2 daughters with us, and I just knew that I couldn't see my wife come home every day as tired as she was, and to continue to do the things that she was doing for me and our family. I couldn't see her doing that anymore, and so. Um, I took it upon myself, and I bet on myself to hit the portal and seek out a better Avenger for myself, but for my family as well, and it paid off. BYU did a great job with helping us. So
Well, I mean, you bet it on yourself and you wanted to provide for your family, which I can understand. I
yeah,
mean, you got to put family first and you got to try to do
sure.
what's best for you at the. But then what's even a bonus is you got a chance to play for a college team you grew up watching. So
Yeah,
that's a big plus.
yeah, it was awesome. It was the perfect experience for us, and um, just it was overall just such a big blessing. So
Such a big blessing that the NIL is such a program for some guys to take some money out of it, but a lot of
yeah,
them just try to take too advantage of it these days.
oh yeah, yeah. yeah, you hear stories about all the time. These kids, you're giving a child millions of dollars and they don't know what to do with it, right? Like you're just, I don't know how some schools do it, but I think BYU does a really good job of providing enough money, but also being smart with how they're doing it with their players. So
Yeah, like, but just for those future students, man, why should they go to BYU?
I think I think BYU is everything that not only a student needs, but also a student athlete needs. There's no other university in the world, I think, that has a better networking program than BYU. I think the networking at BYU is outstanding. I mean, even when I was out training, I had people that were big BYU fans out in Clovis, California, where I was, just reach out, ask if I needed anything, dropped off meals for me and the guys that I was training with and staying with at our home. You're going to get a great education at BYU. They're going to push you to your limits. It's not an easy task with the schooling at BYU, but it's definitely a rewarding one. Same exact thing with the athletic programs. You go to any athletic program at BYU, you're going to get some of the best coaching in the entire world. So I think that's what sets BYU and other schools apart is, the networking and then the high level coaching that you're going to get in every aspect of your athletic career, or if you're just a student. So.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. I mean, you even said in Clovis, California, which I'm currently located at, but
Yeah.
they got a pretty good community over there.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah, but like BYU, you think a lot of great players. Then the coach, it's crazy how he turned down an offer from Penn State just to stay at BYU, which proves
Yeah.
loyalty matters.
Right. Yeah, he's a big loyalty guy. He's not a money guy, and if he was, he would have taken that job. He wanted to be a part of BYU and stay at BYU, and I think him, turning down all those other job offers as well. And it's not just he's gotten the Penn State job offer. He gets a new job offer every year, and so him turning down those offers, that just shows loyalty to us, the school, and Cougar Nation. So.
Yeah, I mean, why would he want to move somewhere where he's comfortable? You know how they say, don't leave where you're comfortable at.
Right. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I've heard nothing nice things over there at Provo, Utah. So it's kind of like somewhere where you want to raise a family at.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely a place where where families come together, but it's also a place where the grind gets tough, and it's a good thing as well. So,
Yeah, for sure, man. So outside of football, who are you as a person?
outside of football, I'm a husband to my wife, and secondly, I'm a father to my kids, and then I'm a football player. And then after probably football player, I like to think I'm a on the rise, uprising golfer. Um,
Ooh, okay.
but those are the three main things in my life right now: my wife, my kids, and then my football career. And just doing anything I can to provide a better life for them. So
For sure, man. Being that perfect person that you can be and provide, that's what we all look for in the world. But what's your backup plan, man? We always gotta have backup plan in case something doesn't work out.
yeah, my backup plan. I've had a lot of companies, like I was saying earlier, through BYU that have reached out and are wanting to offer me some jobs. So I do have a couple of jobs lined up. Growing up as a kid, I always wanted to be a firefighter. That's something that I've always wanted to do. I know it's not the most highest paid profession, but it's something that I feel like I can do and something that I want to help the community out even more. After coming home from my mission that I served for my church, I wanted to continue to help people, and I felt like being a firefighter was one of the best ways that I could. So,
That's a good career path. It's risky, but it's something that most people are willing to sacrifice to save
yeah,
someone.
yep, sir.
Yeah, and then when you talk about the mission, you're talking about the Latter Day Saint, like the Mormons, man. That's. I come from a religion like that from my in-laws. They're Mormons.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I know. Serving a 2-year mission. Honestly, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. That shaped me into being a better football player. I was a better, man when I came home, but it translated over the field too. I became a better football player as well. So it was awesome.
Yeah, it's a good feeling to find a purpose. Like when you have the Lord on your side and giving you something better in life, you're already like achieving it. So, Do you feel like the moment is surreal for you, man? Just like you growing up as a fan, just saying, you know what, I wanted to play at BYU, just like how
Yeah,
that kid Rudy was. Now you get to play at Notre Dame, but you get a chance to play at BYU, where there's just a lot of great athletes who came out of that program. You got Fred Warner, who might go down as the best linebacker in the game. Then you
right,
got Puka Nakua. You got Steve Young, Hall of Famer, and his great great grandfather was college name after that program.
right. Yeah. I think it's just, I think BYU speaks for itself. I think we represent more than just a logo. We represent everybody and everything that BYU stands for around the world. So we take that upon ourselves as student athletes to really make sure that, we know that we're not only representing BYU football, but we're representing BYU football, the name on our backs, and all the fans and all the people watching around the world. So having that responsibility, it's honestly just a blessing.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's got to be just from that program alone, and then coming from the footsteps of those people who played before you. So it's got to
Yes,
be
sir.
like one of those honors.
Yep, it was. It definitely was.
So let's see. Let's just do a rapid fire. No more about you. As far as that, like Xbox or PlayStation.
Xbox.
Okay.
Yeah.
NCAA or Madden.
NCAA.
Okay, you can't go wrong with it. So let's say you're in the middle of nowhere, you're on a cheat diet, man. You had to choose between McDonald's or Burger King.
McDonald's all the way.
What would be the menu?
I'd probably get two McDoubles plain and two hot and spices.
Ooh, man, you onto something right there. I mean, you
Yes,
can't go
sir.
wrong with it.
Nope.
Let's see. If you had to go through a simple, cheap place to go to, or whatever go to place it would be, Walmart or Target, which one are you going with?
Definitely Walmart.
Okay. As far as a sports drink, what would you prefer? Gatorade, Powerade, or Propel, or the Armor's drink?
I think my go-to drink is Powerade.
Yeah. If you had to be the judge, what soda's better, Coke or Pepsi?
Right, man. I don't know. Probably I would go Pepsi, but I'm not even a Coke or Pepsi. I'm a Dr. Pepper guy.
Well, Dr.
But
Pepper. Okay, well that's fair.
yeah,
Okay, Dr. Pepper or root beer if you had to choose.
yeah, Dr. Pepper all the way.
Oh, okay, man. But I know in some states of Utah they have something called dirty soda.
Oh man, it gets me in trouble.
That's
Oh
what I've
yeah,
heard.
yeah, Swig, So Delicious, Fizz, all those companies. Man, I'm spending money over at their corporations 3, 4 times a week.
Oh man, but it's got to be like that's something I've heard about over there that most of the people tell me at Utah that's what they usually get over there.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Being LDS, you can't drink coffee, you can't have tea, so we just load up on the sugar.
It gives you
So
the energy, right?
they gotta mix it up some way, but having a dirty soda change your life.
It sure does with the addiction, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what do you so from your entire college career throughout your entire journey, what do you take from that experience and then what do you take from going into the NFL?
Yeah, just battling through adversity. I think having adversity in your college career really does shape who you are, and who you're going to become in the next coming years. I think having that adversity at such a young age and being able to overcome that, individually, but also with my wife and our kids, just helped me be a better football player, and I think that translates to the NFL. I think when things are not going my way, or things aren't really necessarily working out for me, just being able to lean back on the foundation that I built, and me and my family built as I went throughout those times of adversity will just carry on, and it'll continue to help me build, and stack better days as we go through those adversity or those hard days. And so I think having that in the NFL and having that type of mindset will will benefit me on and off the field.
Oh, absolutely, man. For somebody who's in a similar situation like you, let's just say they're a single father going through some struggles but want to live the NFL dream just like you are, what would be the best advice to encourage that person?
I would continue to tell that person to hold true to their faith, hold true to the values that they have, and just never lose faith or give up on yourself. And just be intentional with your doings each and every day. Um, don't take things as suggestions. And then also just continue to be yourself. Never shy away from being yourself. Never shy away from wanting what you want in life, and just step up to the plate, man. It's not that hard. Life isn't that serious. If you get knocked down, laugh about it. That's a saying that we have in my family. If you fall or if you fail, get back up, laugh about it, shrug it off, keep moving forward.
Exactly. So, how do you respond with the outcome of a loss, like through adversity? How do you respond from a defeat?
Yeah, something I like to do is I like to analyze, the situation. How did things come to pass? Why did things happen the way they did? How could I be better? How could I perform better? And how can I personally avoid, certain things or situations that, added to me taking that loss? And kind of just applying those each and every day, kind of taking one thing at a time and focusing on that one thing and getting better at it.
That's what it is. I mean, sometimes it doesn't always go your way, but there's always a better week to get it together. But how would you deal with just the win outcome, and how do you? Because some people get too ahead of themselves, or they get
Yeah.
too much into it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, I always bring it back to my family. I always show them love and appreciation first. My wife, my kids. I think that winning is one of the most satisfying things that we have in the universe today. I think winning can also be the downfall of people. I think you have to be at a medium when you win. It's a great feeling, but I think you also have to stay composed, um, and just build on it. Build on it every single day. Whatever you're doing in life, whether it's football, whether it's school, whether it's being a dad, being married, at work, whatever the case may be. Just to continue to build on the good and to refine the things you need to work on.
Absolutely. So, what's an area of weakness that you need to improve on at the next level?
I think for me personally is I think I just need to be more consistent, um, with everything. Taking the knowledge and the new things that are being taught to me, um, and really understanding them to a point where I know the ins and outs of them. Being more consistent in that aspect. I think I'm really good at you know, I think I'm really good at being taught something and then applying it right then and there, but it may not always look right or I may not always do it right. I think really dissecting it, analyzing it, and then step by step getting better at it rather than just, you know, going out there and trying it and continue to mess up, right? Like I have no problem messing up. Like I'm okay with looking dumb or I'm okay with it not looking right. And I think me being more consistent in an area such as that will help me become a better football player.
Yeah, it's okay to fail at times. It's a learning experience, and you can
Right.
always build on to get better at the end of the day.
Right.
I mean, so where do NFL teams have you working mostly as a guard or a tackle or where?
Yeah. So all the feedback that I've gotten back so far, a lot of the teams they're going to have me as an interior offensive lineman, and then if need be, I could be they could pull me out there to tackle if I need be. Having that versatility and having that on film, but the majority of it's interior.
Okay, so they're just having you at both spots. Okay, because I would think they have a spot for a certain position for these players.
Yeah, no, I think especially in the NFL nowadays, I don't think there's a specific spot that teams will like have you at until like the first week, right? Um, I think they have a good idea of what they want you to play, and they kind of just see how it plays out. So
Yeah. So what do you take away from the All Star?
from the what? I'm sorry.
From the All Star game that you were talking about?
Yeah, no, it was definitely an eye opener for me. There was a lot of new teaching techniques, a lot of new ways to go about thinking, to go about playing the game of football. Coach Billick, he's a great coach. He was my coach over there, and we ran his offense from 2001, I think, when they won the Super Bowl, the first one. Um, it was still a very complex offense. Schematically, it was a lot easier, I would say. But the way that the NFL wants you to go about doing things is a little bit different than what we did in BYU. So
Okay, that's at least giving you better because you were playing better competition at that All Star
yeah,
level.
I was playing better. I was playing a lot of I was playing against a lot of SEC guys, a lot of Big Ten guys. I think the Big 12 is up there with the SEC and Big Ten, but it was good to get out there and go against the guys from Washington, LSU, Louisville, just to give you a different look, right? And so um, just being able to kind of be a sponge and take all that in and all the new teachings, I think that was the biggest thing that I appreciated and that I loved at the American Bowl.
Absolutely, man. So definitely appreciate your time, bro. I know that the process and the everything has been paying off, man. And I know the opportunity presents itself, man. I'm definitely gonna root for you to succeed, man. It's all about one team that takes a chance on you. So regardless if you end up in the Bay, you might need to make a round two. Maybe you can try to invite Fred Warner if you're on the board, man.
Let's
But
do it.
yeah, we'll figure out something down the road. But it seems like you got the versatility that we're all looking for at the next level.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Appreciate that.
yeah, for sure, man. And before we end this, man, tell them who you are again and tell them what you're doing currently.
Yes, sir. My name is Austin Leausa. I just finished up pro day training and my pro day as well. And looking forward to the draft here soon.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, and we're talking about a versatile offensive lineman from a very smart school, from a very family oriented university, man. This guy's versatile. This guy plays at a very high level. Man, we're talking about Austin Leausa, man. This man is got destiny written all over it with success at the next level, man. For everybody else, thank you guys for tuning in. Go check him out, man. BYU offensive lineman Austin Leausa, man.